Jack Totem's hand is down. Hayley Verbunt's being a little more circumspect. And here we go. Nice patient first stroke from the Australians, coached by James Harris, the British coach who was part of the team that helped Great Britain win that bronze medal. Of course, they were coached there by Richard Chambers, but James Harris gone over to Australia. Decent start by the Aussies, Tom.
Yeah, you're right, and that could be a little secret weapon there. James Harris, 15 years in the British rowing setup, first year here with Australia, and in max fixture racing, maybe that could give you the little advantage that they need.
Megan Slaver taking them off really well. You can see the different tops, Heidi Long with the Oxford top behind her. But just like in the Grand, where the Australian men led the British at the off, these Australian women have blasted out, and four of them have been really impressive in the four. Saw them last week at Lucerne. Emmy Frederico, Eliza Gaffney, they're up in the bows. Georgie Rowe and Jackie Swick in the stroke seat. They were in that four, moving really well. They beat the British fours, and they're going to feel good about that, I guess, coming into this race.
Yeah, like you said, almost a carbon copy of the start there for the Australian Grand 8. Just so clean and sharp. They're not desperate to get away. They're not working too hard, and they've got themselves in a great position here. But again, same thing on the other side. We've got both crews here side by side, looking very flat, looking very relaxed. They will be working incredibly hard now still. This amount of work rate will be unsustainable, and just getting into this point of the race where now they will be trying to find something slightly more sustainable right on that red line to take them through the rest of the course.
To be fair, I think that's a sensational rhythm by the British boat on the far side. It's just like easy round the back turn. I mean, it looks like they're off, you know, they're out for a Sunday afternoon row, but I mean, it's the middle of a gut-busting race, the Remenham Challenge Cup, the premier women's 8s event, and they have just walked away. They've gone into their pace, and they just walked through the Australians. They've taken, what, about a third of a length, you know, round one to the British. Bosh, there you go.
Yeah, but it's 2,112 metres here, so being in front now doesn't count for anything unless you can stay in front later on. But I agree with you, Martin. Lovely rhythm that they've got themselves into here, and that's just really the mark of a fantastic oarsman. Is if it looks effortless, then they must be doing it well. Yeah,
or oarswoman even. But Dan Moore coaches this British 8, and new to them this year. Australia obviously still very much there, the Aussie boat, but I think the first round undoubtedly to the British. Now all they've got to do is hold the Aussies, but all the Aussies have got to do, because they know that four of these British women, Daisy Bellamy together with Irwin Stewart and Long, have raced in the fours earlier. I mean, what's that going to have done to their legs? What will it do to the Australian psyche? Will they be saying something to motivate the crew?
They could do, yeah. It could be something they focus on. You know, it's definitely something that's going to make you feel a little bit better when your legs are hurting, to think, well, I know that the guys, the girls in the other 8 are really going to be hurting as well because they've already raced. So it's a little psychological advantage, something to grab hold of. But again, all of these athletes are world class. They'll know how to put multiple 2K races in a day. They'll do that in training. Physically, they'll be capable of it. Maybe mentally, it's a little bit more draining, just being in this kind of event. But again, we see now, it looks like Australia still aren't coming back.
No, I'd say round 2 to the British, really. I mean, there's Megan there in the stroke seats, just nice and smooth as you like around the back turn. Heidi Long, so much talent she's got. I mean, what a great year she's had. Okay, she didn't win the boat race, but she was really iconic in that Oxford campaign, and then came straight back into the international season and really hit the ground running. British 8 European champions, and they have still moved a bit on the Australians. But like we say, Tom, there's a lot to go in this race yet.
Yeah, they haven't let them go. If I was in Australia, if I was that coxing that Australian crew, I'd be really happy. I'd be saying, look, they had a good start, they've got on a good rhythm, but we've held. And if you watch now, you can see this Australian boat's coming back down to half a length, and it could be less.
So this is where you've got the women in the middle of the Australian boat in the 4 seats. We've got Ellie Bramwell, the South Australian, studying for a Masters in wine. She prefers Pinot Noir if you're interested. In front of her, Georgie Rowe, the 32-year-old former nurse. There she is with the green ring. She's just shouting out Georgie Rowe. Go on, Georgie, the former nurse there. She prefers Shiraz.
Yeah, I've got them at 37-38 there in the Australian boats, so they're definitely working hard. Maybe a call from the Cox was, we need to go now, we can't wait. So this might be a little bit early to start the finish for them, but they've decided to make a move here, get back in contention and just ask questions of the British 8 here. Have you gone half too hard? You know, are those legs really hurting from that race before? And what have you got to come back to the finish with?
Well, this is the question. I love the rhythm of the British. I think they haven't been panicked by what the Australians are doing. I think the worst thing, and I've lost a race by doing this, is by thinking the opposition are coming back, you've got to do something, the rate go up, you tense. The British are kept loose, they're kept smooth, and the ball's now like, OK, over to you, Australia, because we're moving in our rhythm. You've got to do something special there. Little look across by Jack Totem, and he will know that his women are nearly there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You know, you can raise your rate as much as you want, but don't expect the crew next to you to ignore that or not do the same thing. So they're both going to be working as hard as they can. Jack Totem there was in the grand final last year in 24. He was in the ladies' plate final in 23. He's going to want to keep that going. He's definitely going to want to take these girls into another final in 2025.
Jackie Swick, the Australian stroke, taking the crew for the places. Paige Bear, Jamie Ford, the swimmer and basketball player in the 6th seat from Sydney University Boat Club. There's the back of Emmy Frederico, the Victorian oarsman in the bow, but I think they're not going to be able to do it. That incredible bulletproof rhythm from the British 8 are carrying them through to the line. Australia battling, but that was just like they were in the first 500 metres of the race. They won the first round. That is what gave them, I think, will be a famous victory. There are still about 10 strokes to go to the line, but in the premier women's event, the Remenham Challenge Cup, it has been a super row, a sensational row. Second to none for the British 8 as they crossed the line. The second race for 4 of those women today, and they beat Australia's premier crew, overturned the Grand Challenge Cup where the men, Australian men, beat the British. Molesey Boat Club and Leander Club beat Rowing Australia in the Remenham.
It's absolutely world-class rowing there, fantastic, and to see them just look so loose the whole way, really excited to see what else they've got for the rest of the season.